Hello, and a huge welcome back to the PDHP and CAFS podcast. We're midway through January, and look, this year is going to be an awesome year. It's really a great time to be in education, although I do know realities of teaching in the classroom, all the syllabus changes, PDHPE really reshaping, and look, I feel very blessed to be able to lead the way with you, alongside you, to help prepare for this brand new era of PDHPE in New South Wales. So I hope that you are still enjoying your break. I know many of you are probably starting to think about what school will look like because in little over 2 weeks, we get back to business. So look, today's episode is all about resetting and setting some intentions for 2025. So we have a brand new download for you. If you head to thelearnnet.com/goals, you'll access this free resource that I'm going to share with you live today. You can see a bit of a sneak peek as to what it looks like, how you might use it both personally and professionally, but also what you can do to use that with your students in the classroom as well, no matter where they are, all the way from kindergarten all the way through to Year 12. So I'm going to share this resource with you guys. So I'll share my screen. If you're watching over on YouTube, you guys will see that. And if you're also watching live in any of our Facebook groups. So hopefully you can see that okay. So this resource has been developed for you. It's a free resource. As I mentioned, thelearnnet.com/goals is where you can head to access this. But I personally haven't had a chance to sit down and do my reset intentions for this year. But that is on the cards hopefully on Friday. But this booklet is super practical. It's going to give you lots of practical resources to help you. There are some affirmations in there. There are some templates and scaffolds and prompts for you to really think about what you've done in the past and what you can do differently, what we can do differently this year. 2025 is a brand new year. This would have marked my 21st year in education. Not feeling my age, but some mornings, look, sometimes at the gym I do feel my age, but I can't believe I've been in and around education for that long. So if you are, brand new teacher in your first 5 years, if you're somewhere in what I call the messy middle, 10 to 15 years, or if you're, 20 years and beyond, we really are privileged to be able to teach in this space of education. And I know that even though there are so many changes happening in New South Wales for us as PE teachers, as HMS, CAFS, Child Studies Pass, our dance educators, our primary school teachers, there are lots of changes happening. But I really want you to approach this brand new year with fresh eyes. So as we do in education, I want you to begin with the end in mind. So with that in mind, imagine this time next year, looking back on the year that was, what would you do differently? Like, how would you feel at the end of this year? Going into your break, what does it feel like? How have you kind of functioned differently this year? Because, if you don't change something, there's going to be no changes that happen. And if you want things to be different, then you have to make a change. So this year is all about you really approaching it a little bit differently, waving that white flag and saying, hey, I need some help. And whether you go to your colleagues, your friends, other educators that teach PDHP or CAFS or dance or whatever else, or you seek external support through your networks or through us inside the Learning Network and PDHPE, I really want you to think about what you can do to make this year very different to what it has. And as always, we are here to protect your precious time. We don't get that back. Time is a very limited resource. And it's a non-renewable resource. We don't get to, get into a time machine and go back. We literally have this one life to live. So how will you do things differently? How will you show up energetically this year? so you are rested, and I hope that the holidays have been a very timely moment for you to think back and to rest. And I love the Christmas break because you really get to do that. You really get to have that sense of rest and restoration. And look, what are you going to do differently in terms of balancing and all those different aspects in our life and what you can do to kind of balance your well-being? But in saying that, you kind of need to ask for support. Like, I know that I have been someone who, for probably the best part of my career, someone who's gone in there, done it my own, really struggled. And then things came to a head and I didn't ask for support. And I thought at the time, back in 2020, that, there were no other strategies for me other than to leave the classroom. Now that I have those strategies, if I could turn back time, things might look a little bit different. But look, I can't change that. I made the leap and I left, and I have no regrets. I do miss the classroom. But, if I had the support back then, things might have looked a bit differently. All right, so what I've tried to do in all of these resources, remember, head to learnet.com/goals to access them. They're kind of like, I've approached them with kind of two lenses. A lens that you can use them for yourself, professionally and personally, even with your own family, your kids, but also you can use these with your students as well. So many of us know 2 glows and a grow. So thinking about 2 things that you're really proud of and 1 thing that you want to improve on. Of course, we could list all the things that didn't go right, all the challenges we had in 2024. And, if you followed me closely, for me personally, 2024 was a doozy, like an absolute doozy personally. There were multiple things happening for me and my body and my energy. I had some ear issues. I had really low energy. I had brain fog at the beginning of the year. I literally sat at my computer, or stood at my computer because I've got a stand-up desk. I don't sit down. I have my stand-up desk. I stood down here at home and I would look at the computer and go, what the hell? I had no energy. I was finding it really hard to concentrate. Then did some lab tests, found out that, I had a parasite in my stomach. I had really low energy. We had mold in our house in the room next door. There were lots of things happening. Anyway, kind of still have a few of those things, especially the tinnitus, so the ringing in the ears. I'm hopefully seeing an ENT in the next couple of weeks. But look, that's me. I know that for many of you, it has been one of those years. My mum was in hospital for the best part of the year. That was really challenging for us as a family. And look, for me as the eldest, I still haven't really, unpacked that, I suppose. But there were lots of positives. Like, I took on pdhp.net. We had some, great family times. Went to Hamilton Island as a family. It's not all doom and gloom. Like, we need to look at the light side of things. We can't just keep focusing on the negative. Okay, the next one I want you to have a look at, and you can use these with your kids or you can use them with family members or for yourself. Think about things that you want to keep from 2024. So what's in for this year, things that you want to improve on. So maybe things that are out and you kind of want to go, no, not going to do that. I'm not going to keep checking my phone at 9 o'clock at night. I'm going to put that away. I'm going to be really intentional about how I set my morning up. I go to the gym. I get up at 5:10 every single morning. But some mornings I feel the need to, check in with the world and check my phone. And I really want to stop doing that. What do you want to swap out this year? And what do you want to completely let go of, like completely scratch? So that's our KISS little acronym to use. The next one that I have introduced you to is a bit of a well-being rating. And you can kind of think about what happened last year or at different moments through the year and think about really how you felt, like socially, what was happening for you with your family? What was happening for you with your friends? Give that a bit of a rating. And if life was like a school, have a think about what some of those lessons were from this year. I know for me, I've got friends all across Australia now, and we didn't really spend much time together as a group. There's probably about 10 or 12 of us. We saw each other in May, and that's about it. Like, that was once through the year. So really working on that intentionally this year. Physically, things were really good in terms of the gym and getting up and all that type of thing. I ate really healthy. I drink lots of water. Like, it's a bit of a good balance. But for me, energetically, obviously, there was not enough rest for me last year. I felt like I was resting, but my body was giving me the signs that, okay, Kel, things are happening in the background that are quite stressful. Emotionally, like, you know, if you're a mother, if you're a family member, you hold lots of pressure inside you. So I think it's really important for you to think about, like, last year, emotionally, what was happening? What was happening at school? How did you, regulate? How did you control some of those things at school? Financially or economically, what's happening for you? Are you a good saver? Do you, want to kind of get that mortgage down, which most Australians want to pay off their mortgage? Have you thought about investing in your future? Your future self, culturally, were you able to tune into your culture or celebrate, some of those cultural moments? And then spiritually, what did it look like for you? So a bit of a rating. And then obviously thinking about the past, you can then look at this year. So in terms of each aspect of wellbeing, so if you're a CAFS teacher, we know this as speaks. So you can use this with the kids, maybe one of your first lessons with CAFS in year 11 or 12. But thinking about this year, like, what are some intentions that you have socially, spiritually, emotionally, etc.? What are some goals for this year in relation to that? And then what are your actions? Now, I think for many of us, and I'm going to say, yes, I have done this in the past, we might set goals or New Year's resolutions, but we don't do anything about it. We write it down, we think about it, we say it, but there's no action behind that. So this is a great opportunity for you to think about, what is that going to look like? What am I actually going to do to make that commitment to myself? Okay, and then there's some affirmation cards or some gratitude cards for you to use or journal on. In terms of some journal prompts, so what I thought of is giving you and obviously your students and your family members some things for you to think about that you could journal on for this year. So there are some great little easy journals that you can use. Kay might have some really affordable ones. Typo, I'm sure some of you have maybe been gifted a beautiful journal this year. But thinking about different aspects of this year. So have you set a word for the year? I haven't yet. I will share that with you on socials when I do. What are you going to say yes to? What are you going to say no to this year? What are some of the lessons that you learned last year, and what are you going to learn from those? And then also thinking big picture, thinking about your dreams and your aspirations. Do you have some goals that you want to tick off? Do you want to potentially, save $10,000? Or do you want to start to think about what leadership might look like at school? Or do you want to purchase, your very first home or an investment property? Do you finally want to kind of bite the bullet and do some travel? Whatever it might be, reflect on the life that you want to live, because as I kind of put into the podcast description, you can have the life that you want now. You don't have to wait until you retire, until you're in your 60s or 70s. We can live the life that we want to have right now, and it's being intentional with that. Okay. Something that I've used with students before, and I think inside our CAFS collective membership, but like a SWOT analysis, but this is like a star profile. It's thinking about you in terms of what you have inside you. So your strengths, threats, what's holding you back, your aspirations and resources to get there. I know a Y chart is always good, maybe for our younger students to think about what it could look like. what it could feel like, what it could sound like. So really getting the kids to think about, or even for you, to think about this year, like if you could live the life of your dreams, if you could have, if your goals achieved, what would it look like? What would it sound like? What would it feel like? Again, all these practical strategies you can use with your students, you can use with your own children, which I've been trying to get my girls to sit down and do these with me, but look, they've had a busy holidays. So if you want to have access to these, the learnnet.com/goals is where you can head to access these free resources. We know the traditional SMART goals. I'm not going to go through that with you. But then at the back end of this resource, I've given you guys access to some templates and scaffolds, some prompts for you. If you want to print these off, you can have multiple copies throughout the year, but also I think they're going to be really useful for the kids. So short-term goals, mid-term goals, long-term goals. When we do goal setting with our primary kids, with our high school PE students, or even in CAFs, you could use those. Monthly goals, weekly goals, and then like a review. So again, you can print off multiple copies of these when you need them. Daily goals and like a tracker. Again, this is really good for the kids if they're thinking about their study, or even you, for you to keep on track. And then the other things I've popped in here are some intentions. So really great for our gratitude jar. So you can print those off with your students, or you can use them as a starting point. I love the speech given by President Roosevelt, obviously in the arena. If you've read that, I think that was quite nice to share. We also have our PL calendar in here for the year. Very busy, 8 locations around New South Wales. I'll be heading to you. So we're heading to Wollongong and Ballina in term 1, a CAFS workshop in Sydney. Then term 2, we're heading to Sydney and Dubbo, and Newcastle CAFS workshop. Term 3 is a bit of a big one, so we're coming to you in Parramatta and Tamworth, as well as our HMS Summit in Sydney. And then term 4, we have our CAFS conference, like we have done. This will be the 6th year of hosting the CAFS conference, or 5th year, can't remember, and then heading to Newcastle. So we're coming to you in lots of different ways. And then you guys have a blank planner to use to print off, use with the kids. And as I have said for a long time now, whatever we can do to support you, please let us know. Obviously, we have our memberships, which are, the greatest thing that I can offer in terms of support, with ongoing resources, ongoing access to PDHP, CAFS, HMS mentors, but building that community of like-minded teachers that actually want to share and are very willing to share, but also for us to do the work for you, so you get to do everything else in your classroom. As I mentioned last week on the podcast, the dance membership is something that we are exploring. I know the interest is there now. It's just finding the right mentor. I've taught dance with 7 to 10 PDHP, so social dance, cultural dances. I was a Rocker Stepford liaison teacher in 2008 with our school at Nagle College, but I'm definitely not dance trained. So there will be a mentor working with us inside the dance membership, but I'll give all those details really, really soon. We're just trying to find the right person who has that mix of electives as well as stage 6 experience. So as soon as we work that out, I'll let you guys know. But look, all of the resources and stuff are in here. It's really exciting time for us. I know it's going to be busy, but look, whatever we can do to help you, please let us know. So if you want to have access to any of these resources that I've shown you inside the booklet, the learnnet.com/goals is where you can head to have access to all the resources, download them, use them with your kids, use them at home with your own children, and also use them for you to set some goals and intentions for 2025. As I've mentioned multiple times, I know it's going to be a big year, but if you don't set yourself up from the beginning, things, the wheels just fall off the bus. So it's really important for you to have a time, have a couple of hours of where you go, okay, what do I want this year to look like? I know Daniel and I have said together that cheerleading and dance is going to look differently for us this year. Our girls travelled, from here to West Gosford 4 times a week, and Daniel and I shared the load. It was a lot for us, like as a family. So we're looking at different ways to streamline that part of our life. 2 days of that, of that time, the girls will be at dancing and cheerleading, and Daniel and I will actually have some time together, which we haven't had last year. So we'll, take the dogs for a walk. We haven't done that a lot this year, last year. Go for a swim, go to the beach, have some time to do some cooking together. I don't know. But if you don't plan these things out, the year just rolls on and we just kind of revert back to what we've always done. So look, it's my pleasure to support you this year. We have so many exciting things ahead. I feel so blessed and honoured to be able to lead you in PDHP, CAFS and HMS, and potentially offer our dance membership. So stay tuned for everything. If you are a lover of socials, I am kellybell.coach on Instagram. PDHP.net and the Learning Network is on Facebook. Many of us are kind of, Instagram's good. You kind of get to see behind the scenes. So that is also there. This year, our podcast for the 5th year, I think it is, will be released on a Wednesday, every episode. So you can listen, you can get some little hacks and tips and tricks, but also free resources. So the PDHP and CAFS podcast will be coming to you every Wednesday like it has. And if you would love to be a guest, we're looking for guests for 2025. So let me know if you're keen just to share your story, share some tips and tricks that you've tried in your classroom. But look, I hope that today's episode gave you a little snapshot as to what you can do to reset and set some intentions for 2025. thelearnnet.com/goals is where you can head. We'll pop all the details in our show links and everything. But until next week, I'll see you guys soon. Enjoy the rest of your holidays. Stay safe, and I'll see you guys soon. Take care.